George Russell held off Max Verstappen at the Austrian Grand Prix to reinvigorate his championship challenge with a first victory since the opening round of the season. He produced a composed stride to convert pole to victory in Spielberg, holding off pressure from Verstappen over the second half of the race to take the checkered flag second half clear of the Red Bull. Verstappen went from hunted to hunted over the final laps at the Red Bull ring as Russell's Mercedes teammate Antonelli, the World Championship leader, almost snatched second within 4 tenths at the conclusion of the race. Russell's victory in the championship reduced the deficit to Antonelli to 40 points, moving the Brit ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who falls 51 points off the lead after finishing 5th behind McLaren's Oscar Piastri. Russell's win at the 8th Grand Prix of the season, scheduled 22 rounds, was his first since the season opener, at which point he appeared to be the overwhelming title favourite. Russell said incredible to be back on the top step. It's been a while, so I'll definitely enjoy this one this evening. A lot of hard work with my team has gone us to get us back on track. Obviously it was a tricky run at form at one point. Max and Red Bull were incredibly quick this weekend, so kudos to them. I had to push every single lap, and I knew the guys behind have been very quick, so yeah, I need to have everything in control. Verstappen's teammate Isaac Hadjar claimed 6th to cap an improved weekend for Red Bull, having brought a big upgrade. Lando Norris was 7th for McLaren, finishing ahead of Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, who struggled to make his tyres last in the hot conditions, dropping back from 2nd on the grid. Lawson finished in 9th ahead of Racing Bull's teammate Arvid Lindblad as secure their points. Russell was starting from the front of the grid after snatching pole a magic qualifying lap that came after another weekend where he appeared to be in danger of being outperformed by Antonelli. Since then, he won the season opening race in Melbourne and a sprint that followed in China, having been surprisingly overwhelmed by the consistency of Antonelli along with some poor luck. While Russell suffered technical issues, most notably the one that caused a DNF in Canada, which was later travelled out by Anthony suffering a similar terminal issue in Barcelona. He's also seemed to find it difficult to match the Italian's teenager pure pace. Having being held to pole by his knowledge of the rules on Saturday, he expertly reacted to the yellow flags waving from a Verstappen crash. Russell calmly managed the main job on Sunday, holding off Leclerc in the opening corners, and then was able to pull clear while the rivals battled behind, with the potential threat of Antonelli reduced by the erratic start that saw him go off track several times in these places. A threat emerged elsewhere from Russell, who came under high pressure from Verstappen to bring him in for his second stint at the end of the lap 43 before Verstappen had the chance to attempt an undercut and gave the Brit a chance to rebuild an advantage. While the Red Bull might have altered the outcome with a different approach, Russell was about 11 seconds clear of Verstappen when the Dutchman made his final stop. There were 20 laps remaining and with 6 laps fresher tyres. The gap gradually closed down, but Russell managed his tyres well too. He never really come under big threat. This was clear relief in his dubious accelerations at the checkered flag, but the manner in which Anthony closed on the top two offered a reminder that Russell will need to go to a higher level if he wants to take the championship fight to his teammate. Verstappen had flashed the potential in his upgraded Red Bull though before a high-speed crash limited him to 5th on the grid, but few believe this could be a genuine contender for victory on Sunday. He pounced upon an early opportunity to pass Antonelli and Leclerc in quick succession and then set about chasing Hamilton for an engaging and epic 2-part battle with his old foe. Hamilton survived the first duel, producing some fierce defensive driving on lap 11 to stay ahead with one manoeuvre that pushed Verstappen onto the gravel at turn 6, leading to Dutchman demanding a penalty over the radio. His request was denied, but the battle would resume following around the pit stops. Hamilton this time was unable to stay ahead of Verstappen. He made a great dart up the inside of turn 6. Verstappen's next target was Russell, and he appeared to have a major chance of victory when he closed a couple of seconds with more than 30 laps remaining. However, Red Bull didn't opt to trigger an undercut, and when Russell stopped and decided to stay out and build a tyre life advantage for the final stint, at the same time, they stayed on his tail. Verstappen's tyres went off towards the end of the extra 6 laps stayed out, leading to a big gap of 10 seconds with just 22 laps remaining. While there's early strategy progress, the task turned out to be too big. Red Bull might argue the fact that Antonelli almost caught Verstappen at the end showed making his second stop any earlier might have rested exposed. Unfortunately, though, despite not getting a win, it was a positive weekend. Amid rumours that he's held talks with McLaren, Red Bull boss Laurent Mekies has always maintained that Verstappen will stay with the team if they give him a car capable of challenging for victories, and this was certainly a step in the right direction for them. And before I go, let me run you through the classification from the Grand Prix. George Russell coming out on top. Yeah, big win for him. I didn't really know if he had the pace for his teammate Antonelli, obviously with qualifying and the poor start, etc. But still, big win. He needs to keep that momentum going now. Verstappen, I think he'll be really encouraged that pace. It'll be interesting to see if Red Bull can keep it up. For Antonelli, yeah, he had the pace, but just a few little errors kind of costing him. In 4th place, Piastri, I think he'll be really happy with that, maximising the job. Hamilton, yeah, Ferrari just didn't really have the pace. Hamilton a lot quicker than Leclerc. I don't know what happened to Leclerc today, but not really having the pace. But yeah, Hamilton, I think he wasn't on a great strategy either, which didn't help. But yeah, bit of reality check for them. Hadjar, I think, away off his teammate, but still 6th place isn't bad. Norris kind of similar, and then obviously VCAR gaining and securing the maximum positions. Audi in 11th and 12th again. It feels like they're so close to points. They have decent pace, but just can't get those points. They're super frustrating for them. Alpine not really having the pace this weekend. kind of similar to Haas. They've dropped off a bit, but I think Alpine probably will be back up there around Silverstone time. And then Williams obviously not really having much pace at all, along with the Aston Martins, who, yeah, it's just a pretty miserable situation for them, isn't it? Obviously, both those cars, one of those cars in each team didn't really complete the race. And then your Cadillacs, who, yeah, didn't get very far at all. But I mean, with such hot track temperatures, it's a learning experience for them, isn't it? So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they kind of recover from them as they continue to bring out great.
That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily F1 news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.